Alright, guys, so not a lot of people joined the Zoom meeting, so I just wanted to go ahead and record me kind of going through this exploration from last week because next week's exploration is going to kind of build on this. And so if you still don't know what's going on with this one, you're going to have a real hard time with the exploration for this coming up week, okay? So, once again, this exploration is just us getting into our probability unit. I think we're just gonna be talking about outcomes and chances and odds in these next 2 weeks coming up. The objective for this actual exploration is our goal is to just really look at a situation and determine if it's a fair situation and determine how to divide up a reward based on fairness. Okay. So we're not really going to introduce much math concepts just yet. We just want to get an introduction into the situation, the problem, and whether or not it's fair or not based on certain outcomes. So let's get started. It says, as you know, Mr. Bustamante and Coach DeLeon, we do enjoy gambling. However, seeing as they both have math backgrounds, both of us know the importance of a fair game. Our goal is to set out to pass some time since we're in quarantine by playing a game called Points. So this is what the game entails. Basically, me and Coach both put up $750 and we each flip a coin. Every time heads is landed, so anytime the coin lands on heads, I get the point, Mr. Bustamante. Now, anytime tails is landed, Coach De Leon gets the point. And it's pretty simple. The first person to 10 points wins the prize money. So they win the prize of 750 plus 750, which is $1,500. Okay? Pretty simple game. We want to think about this. So, is this game fair? There are a lot of students already submitted answers for this, but if you are having trouble, one thing to think about what makes a fair game is, do both Mr. Bustamante and Coach De Leon have equal chances of winning at the beginning? I do believe they do. Yes. Now, there's a multitude of explanations, and I've already checked some of the Google Forms and Google feedback that y'all submitted. And some of the explanations were basically yes, because both start with 0 points, right? So they're both starting equally. Also, a big key factor in here is how the points are determined. So if I think about this, how am I determining points? I'm determining them based on a coin, right? Now, if this coin is fair, that means heads is 50% chance, right? So heads. So another reason could be because there's 50% chance for heads and also 50% chance for tails, right? So no matter what, each teacher has an equal probability to score a point each time the coin is flipped. And that doesn't change as long as I'm using the same fair coin. Okay, so that's all I was looking for in that problem. We can move on to problem number 2. It says, does each player have an equal chance of winning at the start of the game? So I kind of hinted to this up here when we talked about fairness. As long as the score is 0-0 at the beginning, yes, each player does have an exactly equal chance of winning. Yes, right? At the very start of the game, we can actually figure out this chance to be a 50% chance to win. As long as the score is 0-0, because they start off at exactly the same score, and since this coin is fair and nothing has begun yet, they each have the same amount of chance to win. Okay, so yes, they have an equal chance of winning at the very beginning of the game. That's the start of the game. So let's go ahead and move forward to the next part. It says, based on your results in these 2 questions above, both teachers do decide that the game is fair. Okay, so they agree with us, and they each put up $750, and they decide to play the game out. Unfortunately, since we're in quarantine, right, the police say that we cannot meet together and we should be under really strict quarantine, so we can't even be in the same room, right? So the result of the game is given below. So what happened was basically we start the game and we're interrupted by the police. They say, no, you have to stop the game. So we go ahead and stop the game after flipping the coin 15 times. So now that we're separated, each teacher decides we can't finish the game, right? Because, I mean, as trustworthy as I like to think I am and Coach DeLeon are, when we're talking about $1,500, there's no telling what could happen. So we just decide, well, the pot's going to be split based on current standings of the game. So question 3, the final question says, how could the prize money of $1,500 be split up in the fairest way possible? Now, I really didn't want to give you an exact answer. There's going to be a couple I'm going to go over, okay? So a couple that I saw from class I'll talk about. One of the first ones was, okay, well, a student said, let's look at what's going on first. Let's look at Bustamante's score and De Leon's score. So Bustamante's is going to score every time a heads is landed. So we can count up the heads here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 heads. And Coach De Leon is going to score each time a tails is landed. So a fast way to do this, if there's 15 flips, 6 are heads, that means 9 of these are going to be tails. Right? And you can go back and check the work if you want. But basically the score is 6-9 Bustamante and De Leon. So obviously if we look at the game as of now, who has a better chance of winning? Well, obviously Coach De Leon, he only needs 1 point. So the chances of winning are no longer equal if we just looked at the game from here. So some kids said, well, I think De Leon should get the money because he only needs 1 point. Compared to 4, right? Mr. Bustamante, what Mr. Bustamante needs, because if Mr. Bustamante has 6 points, he needs 4 to win. Another one was, well, since they didn't finish the game, and I like this one personally, they said, just split the pot in the middle. So basically, each person walks away with their $750, $750 to each. I really like that one. Can you think of why? Well, because if I look at it, right, I'm way behind. There's a really slim chance of me winning. So yeah, let's just call this game quits right there, right? And you never know with chance. I mean, I could come back, but I would not like to chance it. Now, there's a bunch of other methods that you can think of. I'm going to leave these 2 in this video because those are the ones the majority of the class picked, okay? And like I said, I don't want to make you think of a certain way of solving this problem. I just want you to think logically. What would be fair, like what's fair? In both these situations we can look at and we can think, well, inherently they're not really fair, right? Because like if I look at the first one, it's Mr. De Leon, it's in his favor, right? Because he's going to win the money. But what if Mr. Bustamante did come back and like here, I scored 4 tails in a row or something, But instead of 4 tails, it was heads. That's a possibility, right? Or what about the second one? Is that fair to Coach De Leon? If he's already ahead and only needs 1 point to win, is it fair that he only gets $750? Maybe he should get a little bit more based on how many points he has, right? So those are all questions I want y'all guys to think about as we move into this next week's exploration. So hopefully that helped you out, this video. All you really need to do now is submit your Google form. Go to the assignment, submit your Google form, answer those questions however you wish. If you want to add a new solution to this question 3, go for it. And I'll go ahead and get those graded back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for your time.